to your Transition to Changes Mission podcast show with your host, King Summers.
And your host, Queen Summers.
We can't thank you enough again for staying in tune with us, sharing us, and follow us. I know that we say that a lot, but for right now, that is one of the greatest things that we are appreciative of from everybody. Now, as we come back, as always, we give solutions from our opinion about how to fix the problem that we talked about on the first half. Within the first half, I was stating that I feel African Americans has been fighting to be accepted, and I feel that we have gained a lot. But as we notice, as COVID has came, I feel that a lot of things is having the opportunity to be heard and be fixed.
And I say, why do black lives continue to be devalued and over-criminalized? I'd like to ask my audience, what do you think? Write to us, tcmissionspeaks@gmail.com. I'd say bad apples oftentimes come from a rotten tree, and that tree in the United States of America is rooted in systemic racism, particularly when it comes to law enforcement that has roots back to slavery. This is disturbing levels of white nationalism and domestic extremist group have been shown to have infiltrated law enforcement. So how black individuals continually internalize and deflect a series of microaggressions and discriminatory behavior from individuals of all classes is really a direct result of the lack of those muscles and the lack of consideration for the fact that we are fathers, mothers, sisters, husbands, professionals. We have jobs. And I feel like the social class, it's time for a code switch.
Yes, it is. And that's one of the things that I was going to try to explain through my opinion about how to fix this racism here in America and maybe across the globe. But it is a mind state that is much needed with a combination of equal quality among the economy. I think that's one of the main reasons why a lot of people that is within the struggle, particularly blacks, feel that we don't have the opportunity. We already had a lot that was put on the table, or we was put in a situation. When a black African American is born into a project, the name project is a study of species to come out with a answer. And it's like a rat is put in a maze to try to get out of. And they have done statistics that you can look up. Out of 10 people in the ghetto, maybe 1 or 2 people will come out. And that is the table that was fed to them. They call that generation wealth gap.
And I think one solution for that would be corporate America needs to embrace meaningful action, not just slogans and words. Black assets and intellectual property have been systematically disenfranchised and underinvested in, and members of C-suite and other large conglomerates have a significant role to play in not only reshaping the narrative and incentive structure around business, but by also leveraging the existing resources within the black community to drive sustainable and meaningful change. We don't need handouts. We need real partnerships and corporate allies that are ready to invest in us.
And yes, with all that, I say stop all the Jim Crow laws that have went underground. Stop the mass incarceration programs that is underground that's going on. Mm-hmm. And I say stop the black codes. Black codes are more related to the economy of the blacks being accepted into the workforce in particular. It seems like it all is a set up, planned out tactic to keep your enemies close and keep them at a standstill of where you want them to be. COVID have came and put a pause to everything, and people are being more aware of everything that has been going on. A lot more knowledge being released. A lot of conspiracies has been acknowledged and being unclassified and been known to the public. And all these things are leading to the truth will set you free. But once the mind get free, like Queen Summers was saying, you are going to have a spoiled apple within the basket. That is what's going on into our faces now in reality.
Right.
As most of all these justice things that are going on with the black community, one of the two things that happen is those officers that have done most of the majority of these crimes has been fired. Maybe, hopefully, hard for them to get another job or whatever it might be.
I see black people don't want a seat at the table. They want their own table, apportioned with equal weight and size to be acknowledged, seen, and heard across all spectrums of society. W.E.B. Du Bois encapsulated this enduring plight of African American individuals over a century ago as double consciousness. It's a longing to be both African American and American without having the doors of opportunity closed roughly in one's one's face. And yet, blacks are still clamoring for that promise of equal justice and opportunity to be recognized as fully equal citizens in America.
And that's beautiful. But as we see, when I talk about the mind state that President Trump done in this century, is that he showed that the perceived notion of a person to be a president to be having an eminent attitude, behavior, character, and personality. But was President Trump like that? No, but he was still the president. And that's one thing I did like about him. He spoke his mind. Most of the time when a person is like that, they call him more down to earth. And that's what he ran his campaign on. Draining the swamp of the people that is eminent. The ones that walk around here being professionally on everything perfect. And in the back of your mind, you know that they ain't perfect. You know that that particular person that presenting you as an eminent person has done some type of unconscious or conscious sin. But when it comes to African Americans, when they go fill out an application, the mind state that I'm saying that needs to change to know that we ain't going nowhere. Because if you didn't hire that African American, I guarantee you another one is coming to fill out another application. And soon your card will be pulled. And you have a lot of different variety of how people present themselves. Yes, there is a way to present yourself in interview and going through training of all that. But it's still a notion if you got your hair braided down, you got different colors in your hair, how you talk, how you walk, how your pants and everything is the direction of you being hired or not. And I say that is a mind state that needs to be changed in the economy ways of African American being accepted in the workforce, because I feel like that is a problem with most racism people. It's just not about racism about color. It's also about personality and characteristics too.
And also, to all the other people that's listening from different races, I encourage you all to take an honest self-inventory. Audit your own upbringing, thoughts, actions, and even behaviors you may not be aware of. Are they biased or racist beliefs you picked up on as a child that you're still subconsciously holding on to? Do you assume clients of a specific race, gender, cultural, social, economic background, or sexual orientation will act a certain way? Self-awareness is the first step in overcoming your own prejudice, overt or covered. Educate yourself. The language you use, things you say, and manner in which you act, both in personal and professional settings, could be making those with different backgrounds feel uncomfortable. The only way to combat this is through knowledge and self-awareness. Make a diligent effort to do what it takes to become educated about people of different races, cultures, and backgrounds. And don't be afraid to ask questions, because in order to learn, we have to ask questions. Silence is violence. It is important to ask honest questions in the pursuit of knowledge, even at the risk of inadvertently offending someone. Ask honest questions, have potentially awkward conversations, and do everything you can to lean into uncomfortable situations in the pursuit of learning, fighting discrimination, and ultimately closing the gap.
And that will be beautiful. And I will give you a prime example of myself through my journey. At one point, I was wanting to become a CDL Class A truck driver. I became that at a tender young age, just fresh out of school, and my father was passing away at the same time. On top of that, I had some run-ins with the law. All three things was happening at the same time. As I moved forward and didn't let nothing stop me to obtain what I wanted to do, because at that time I wanted to explore America. It wasn't really about the salary of a truck driver, none of that. It was more to me about exploring all 50 states of America. And I did. But to go back to it, as I was in that process, I had a run-in with the law. It became a case that I dismissed, but it was still on my police report. As you know, being a truck driver, they go through much background check. And to today, I have inspired, and by me telling this story to you, I hope that I can inspire you to believe in yourself and you can obtain what you want. It might be a lot that's on the table that you have to do, just like I did, and I'm going to continue to explain that, but it can be done. When I got the opportunity to get this job opportunity, I'll never forget the supervisor. He said, man, I love your character and your personality, but man, your police report, like, all these charges are not guilty. But what is it? Did you have a black cloud over you or whatever? I'll tell you what I can do. And I'm going to have to send this to my superiors, but come back and explain each charge of exactly what happened that day. Before you went to court and everything, I want to know and try to get an understanding from you. I came back with about a book with him, and he actually read everything. He sent it off to his superior, and it came back that I was hired. And I was so rejoiced. Never forget that. And from there on, my career launched into the trucking career.
So speak up. When you hear others using biases or racist terms, do you intervene? You should. Though it may be awkward, it could serve as a teachable moment or opportunity to educate someone who may not understand that they're being offensive. If you speak up and are able to facilitate a meaningful conversation, he or she will walk away with knowledge they didn't have prior. Also, don't make assumptions about populations you serve. When it comes to clients, oftentimes African American children are diagnosed with autism at lower rates, or it takes longer because certain behaviors are attributed to racial biases. For example, children are classified as deviant versus autistic. So this is why education is so critical. When you step out of your comfort zone, it's essential in becoming part of the fight against systematic racism and injustice. Recognize that while you'll never understand what it's like to walk in the shoes of someone that is a different color, culture, or background, you can and should do what it takes to learn as much as you can. Though it may feel uncomfortable, lean into the discomfort and expand your perspective. Our differences are what makes us unique as human beings, but they can also be the cause of great pain and suffering when there is a lack of understanding and acceptance from those around us. It's our responsibility as friends, colleagues, organizations, and human beings to do what it takes to educate ourselves and evolve. Learn as much as you can. Join the conversation and ask how you can help. We must all become leaders as it relates to the fight against systematic racism and discrimination that still permeates our nation to this day.
And we promise, if you write your email, if you write your message to us, Facebook message, call us at 910-985-9090, and you would like to be on the show, please do. Write to us, explain your opinions about within this Black History Month or so on. We love to intervene with the people of the community. We are at ground zero. I didn't participate in none of the protests that was going on last year, but I did visually see and heard and felt the pain that was going on. And this movement is strong. And I say this to all the racist people out there or biased ways. Like I said before, we ain't going nowhere. We want our acceptance across the globe, as well as everybody else. And with that said, transition and changes, we'll announce a Black History moment in history for the remaining of this month of February. And I'm starting out with this. Like I always said in all our previous shows at the end, I try to keep it modernized because we are actually in a point of opportunity to see what is the outcome. And one situation that boggles my mind that's out here, they televised, and I will always speak his legendary name for our modern time. George Floyd has changed the atmosphere of a lot of unequal justice being done among the African American people. This was televised across the globe. And one reason why it boggles in my mind a lot is because it's not over. In whatever year that this case will come to light again, which I think should happen this year, and there is a couple of differences that is